This is The Pursuit, where top performers in sport share what drives them. Brought to you by Audi, the official innovation partner of Sky Sports. And today we're joined by a true legend of the game, England's all-time leading wicket-taker, a master of seam and swing, and a player still redefining fast bowling in his 40s. Hello, Jimmy Anderson. Although I was really upset that you said I have to call you Sir James now. You insisted.
Yeah. Insistent.
What an incredible award to be given. What amazing recognition.
Yeah, incredible. Still hasn't quite sunk in until I actually go there. I'm not sure I still believe it. It's kind of incredible, but amazing as well, and a huge honour, and very proud.
So what happens? The letter comes through the post.
Yeah, well, I got a phone call, and then I still don't know when it's going to be when I go and receive it. But yeah, until then, I'm still wondering if it's a prank. So, but yeah, as I said, huge honour, and you don't expect things like this. It's not the reason you play sport, or you don't seek to achieve these things. So it's just an incredible honour. Change
your name on your bank cards and everything.
I don't know if I'll be doing that.
Yeah, you have to, and use it when you book restaurants and everything. It's going to be really helpful. Look, let's take you right back. As you said, it's not the thing that you aim for when you start out playing. You made your competitive debut for Lancashire. That was in 2001. When you go out and you make your debut, what are you hoping for? What are your ambitions at that stage?
I can't remember having any ambition further than playing for Lancashire. Like when I was growing up, I was a huge cricket fan. I used to go and watch Lancashire a lot. They were very successful in the 90s, had a really good one-day team, went to Lords to see them play in finals and stuff like that. So that was my sort of dream or ambition as I started getting better at cricket. Beyond that, I hadn't really thought about it. So I kind of just wanted to enjoy the experience, and I think that went through certainly my first few years of being a professional, because things happened quite quickly. I went from being a contractor professional at 18, first class debut at 19, and then I think my England debut at 19 or 20. So everything went quite quickly, and I just thought I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. It might be a year, it might be 2. I didn't expect it to be 20 odd. So at that point, I was just trying to enjoy every moment.
So are you not a planner? You're not somebody who's ever had a big game plan for your career?
Not at all. I'm still not a planner. I just I like to focus on what's next. And generally that's the next game or the next series or the next season, and just try and take it in really small blocks. And I think that focus, that real sort of tunnel vision focus on the short term, really helped me throughout my career.
Yeah, there's an expression about only aiming for what you can see. So you can see what the next step is going to be, but who knows where that leads you, because it opens so many doors at one time.
Definitely, yeah, and that's certainly happened through my career. I think, you just touched on the accolades and stuff like that, and I never in a million years thought about those or expected them, but it's just the fact that I've concentrated on little bits at a time that have helped with the bigger picture. Also,
in terms of your own game, you've had to adapt at times. I mean, physically as much through injury and recovery, and you've sort of changed. You changed your technique, you changed what you focused on throughout that time. Just tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I think that's part of the reason that I've played for a long time, because I think if you stand still, then you get found out. People catch you up and overtake you, and you end up not being in the team, whatever team it is, whether it's the international team or county team. So I've always thought of, I've watched a lot of cricket, try and take bits from people to help my game. So I kind of feel like I've developed into a multi-dimensional bowler. There's lots of people who are one type of bowler. They're either fast, they're either bowl swing or seam. But I think I can do all those things, and that's what's made me the player that I am. So I've always tried to develop different skills and improve on the skills that I've got, and also the other stuff that people maybe don't see, the gym work and things like that. I think that also is something that I've loved doing, and not everyone loves doing that. And I think still at the age I'm at now, I still love doing that and investigating what is going to help me go for even longer, whether it's, mobility, yoga, adding loads of things into my program that will help me still stay at this level.
So we found the one professional sports person who loves training.
Yeah, but I think there are a couple out there, but I think for me that I find it really interesting, like certainly as I've got older, I've looked at other sports people and how they have gone about things when they get to their late 30s, early 40s. And I think now with the sort of development of sports science, there's so many things out there that can help you. And for me, I find it fascinating. So I like trying new things, I try and keep it interesting, don't just do the same thing every day. Try and do different things and things that are going to help me go for as long as I possibly can. When
you look at other bowlers and you maybe take little bits from their game and adapt it to your own, are there also parts that you leave behind that you see people doing and think, that works really well for them, but it wouldn't work for me?
Yeah, of course. There's things that I think I'd really love to be able to do that, but actually I can't do that. And so I'll try it for a little bit, and if it doesn't feel beneficial to me, then I'll leave it. So
like what kind of thing?
Well, I think the easiest sort of example would be that in T20 cricket, there's lots of bowlers use slow balls, like trying to deceive the batter, and so I'll watch it. And now with the TV coverage, you can see the slow-mos and the close-ups of the hand and what they're doing with the ball. So for me, I try and replicate that, and sometimes it feels really good, and I'll add that into my armoury, and sometimes I'll just not, because it doesn't feel quite right.
But at different times in your career, you have had to sort of adapt the way that you bowl as well, haven't you?
From a technical point of view, definitely. Again, I think like the bowling's so unnatural, like what you do to your body and the positions you get in are very unnatural. So you try and make it as economical as possible, try and not put too much stress on the body, which you can do. I think like the science says like it's 7 times your body weight goes through your front leg when you deliver the ball. So that's quite a lot of force going through my left leg. So you try and then like find ways of making, strengthening certain parts of your body, but also making sure your action is, like I said, as economical as possible, so you're not hurting yourself too much.
But what happens if your action and the repetition of that action is what causes the injury? How then do you progress from there?
So that actually happened to me when I was like 24-ish. I got a stress fracture on my back, so I was out for 6 months. And then it's a case of strengthening certain areas, muscles in certain areas that can help you, and also modifying the way you deliver the ball so you're not putting stress on that part of your body. It was like my lower left back that had a little crack through it. So I was trying to offload that area and not damage it again.
Obviously, you've had to deal with different psychological challenges throughout your career, and the way you approach it as a kid starting out isn't going to be the way that you approach it towards the end. What do you think have been the main things that you've learned about yourself and about the best way for you to approach each occasion?
I think there's been a few different things through my career. So I used to get really angry when I first started, and I'd just try and bowl faster and faster, and that didn't help me at all. So I think once I controlled that and used that to my benefit, then my game sort of changed and improved. And I went through a period in like 2010 where I used a sports psychologist, and we did some hypnotherapy, and I was so skeptical about that. I was like, I was just picturing this like pocket watch, and he's going to
full Darren Brown.
Yeah, but actually, like, it worked wonders. It kind of helped me stay calm on the field and channel that sort of anger into sort of more focus around what I'm trying to achieve, how I'm trying to bowl. And I think that also helped with kind of nerves. And, when you're building up to a game, I used to get quite nervous and panic about how I'm going to play, but that also helped with that side of things as well.
Were you told that you perform better when you're angry?
Yes. Yeah, so we had a scale like from, I think 7 was good. 7's where I want to be. Above 7 is too angry. Below 7's too nice. So 7 was kind of the sort of where I wanted, the sweet spot where I wanted to be. So each game I'd tell the sports psychologist where I was on the scale. And yeah, it was trying to get into the battle with the opposition batter, but in a way where it sort of just made me more focused on what I was trying to deliver, the skills I was trying to deliver.
Do you feel like you have two different personalities, one off the field and one on the field? I
wouldn't say that different personalities, but maybe it is. So I do feel like I'm much quieter away from cricket. I feel like certainly as I've got more comfortable playing cricket on a bigger stage, I felt like that's where I feel comfortable, and it's almost like showing off, I guess. I want to show off in front of as many people as possible, what I can do. I'm certainly not that kind of character away from cricket, so maybe it is two different personalities. Yeah, or two sides of the same personality. And does it feel very different when you're going out in your 40s than it did in say your 20s? Is your whole process in the build-up different now? It's different in terms of I do more around making sure my body's good to cope with the stresses of it. So warm-ups are longer, my recovery's different and longer. So I try and basically tick every box. So my recovery will be pre sort of 35. I'll do one of the recovery options, and now I'll just do all of them, so that I know that I've not left any stone unturned. Like, my mentality is still the same as it was when I was 10. Like, I love going out on the field and diving around like I'm a kid, just having fun playing a sport I love. So from that point of view, nothing's changed, but in terms of the actual, the other stuff, it probably has developed a bit. Chris Hoy talks about finding that sweet spot where your physical performance reaches its peak, but psychologically and tactically, you understand what's required of you. But the more you understand psychologically and tactically, that tends to be where your physical peak kind of starts to tail off. But there's a sweet spot where they're both exactly the right place. Yeah, I guess I can be, but I've never really thought about it like that. I think, I've surprised myself how much my physical sort of fitness has held its own and maybe even improved slightly. Like, recently I played a T20 game for Lancashire and recorded my fastest ever speed running across the ground, and I think that's probably part of the training that I'm doing. But I just think that's, I don't know, it's sort of a psychological thing as well, I guess, where people think we get to a certain age and we've got to start slowing down. But actually, I'm not a believer of that. I think you can, if you put in the hard work, you train clever and make sure you are doing the right things. As the older you get, there's no reason why you can't stay at that physical fitness level or even improve on it. I want to talk to you about a defining moment, one of many defining moments in your career, but the Ashes victory in 2011, and just what that meant in terms of the time that had passed since England had won in Australia, and also, and I know you're very much sort of driven by team outcomes, but also your key involvement in all of that. Yeah, I think that was probably the best team that I've played in for England. We had a group of players that were all reaching the peak of their powers. We'd all played sort of 60 tests or more, so we had experience as well. And yeah, it was 24 years since we won in Australia, and to win there, and also for me personally to contribute, especially I'd had a bit of a sort of rough time leading up to that, where I hadn't performed well away from England. So to do it in Australia, and have a contribution towards a winning series was great. But that, for me as a team, is sort of the best experience that I've had. Because it wasn't just that you went out there and you scraped a win. I mean, there were records broken all over the place. Well, the 3 tests we won by an innings. We scored loads of runs. Alastair Cook was amazing on that tour. I think he got 700 runs. So yeah, we did it in a a great way. Yeah, it was just unforgettable. Like the whole tour. I mean, we were away for like 3 months. It was quite a grueling tour. I flew home in the middle of it as well for 2 days for the birth of my second daughter. So like I think I slept for like 2 weeks after when I got home. But it was
your wife was delighted.
Yeah, it was just an amazing experience, and it's hard to sort of describe when, as I said, we'd not won there for such a long time. We've not won there since. So it's obviously a special thing to achieve. And
it felt almost, well, it was on the cards on Sydney, even going into the final day. But for you to take a couple of wickets as well, to be right in the thick of everything, and I don't know, could you describe that?
Well, there were a few moments through that tour where obviously the grounds are quite big in Australia. I remember the MCG Boxing Day Test match. It's like such a big thing for everyone in Australia to go to. There's like 100,000 people there, and by tea time on day one there was just 20,000 people left, and they're all English. So it was like that, for me, was just an incredible experience. Yeah, the travelling support that we get generally for England was, as well, throughout my career, was incredible, and that was probably the best experience I've had of just like Sydney was another example of that, where the noise was just incredible and it felt like a home game for us, so it was very special.
Yeah, and it stayed out on the outfield for a little while after that?
The families came in, the families that had travelled out there came into the dressing room, and I fell asleep for like an hour and a half, so I missed all that. But my family weren't there, so it wasn't too bad. But then after that, we all went on the outfield, had a beer, and kind of had this like impromptu kind of chat where everyone was giving their favourite moment from the tour, and it was just like really unforgettable as the sun was setting at the SCG, like one of the most beautiful grounds in the world. It was incredibly special.
It's interesting to hear you describe it, because you'll know from having watched Ashes series in younger years, when they're in Australia, there's something unreal about them, because they're happening at such strange times of the night. But what you're describing, even though you're there and in the moment, it still has that kind of strange, unreal feeling to it.
Yeah, it is a bit strange, but I remember those years where you didn't want it to feel real either, because we were getting beat all the time. Like I used to have the radio on to wake me up in the morning to see how England were getting on when I was a kid. Yeah, it was just incredibly special.
Unbelievable. And you talked about the MCG on Boxing Day. Do you remember the first time that you played in Melbourne? Tell me about that.
Well, that was my England debut at the MCG in 2002. I'd been called up because there was a few injuries, and it was such a rushed thing that I didn't have a name and number on the back of my shirt. So I was getting so much abuse from the crowd. It was Bay 13's the famous spot where everyone gets really drunk in the day, and they just hurl abuse at whoever's nearest to them, and I was nearest to them. So I just got a huge amount of abuse, and I thought, God, if this is what international cricket's like, I'm not sure I want to be involved. But yeah, it was very, very much an eye-opening experience.
Yeah. How do you deal with that?
Well, at the time I was just trying to sort of hide, like pull my collar up on my shirt and not look at them. But I think as I've got older, I've just tried to sort of embrace it a little bit. And I think if the crowd are abusing you, it means that they're sort of not necessarily intimidated, but they just want to try and put you off what you're doing. So I try and interact with them a little bit and then focus on my job.
Yeah, and make sure that they go home early on
exactly,
Boxing Day. But it was just the most incredible series. We talked about some of the numbers that were put on the board throughout 2011, and it was an incredible victory. Do you prepare for Ashes series differently? Do they feel different in the run up to them? I mean, apart from it, you're away for so long, and there's the sort of practical aspects of it. But in terms of the competition, does it feel like a different preparation?
Yeah, definitely. I think I don't think it's necessarily the players, but I think because whether it's the media or the fans or the management, they put this kind of extra special sort of, it's got this like gravity that no other series has, and they definitely do things differently. And that particular tour, we went to Germany for like 3 days doing some sort of, it felt like torture with some SAS, Australian SAS, I should add, guys, and they put us through our paces. That was like a month before we went away, and so they do things like that. We'd never do that before a home series or a different series. So it does feel like the Ashes is like held in this really high regard.
Yeah. You said it's the best England team that you played with, the best England side that you played with. In the dressing room as well, tell me a little bit about that dynamic and how it worked, because there's a lot of different and very strong characters in there. But why did it click?
So strangely enough, it might sound strange, but it's not the best dressing room that I've been involved in. You know, it wasn't like everyone was really close mates and got on really well. It was kind of like we all knew each other's strengths from a cricketing point of view. So once we got on the field, we knew how to play as a team. But away from that, like obviously it felt a little bit cliquey. Like there was I had a group of mates and there was another group of mates over there, a couple of lads who didn't really integrate with the team. So it wasn't like a really strong dressing room or loads of camaraderie or anything like that. Obviously we celebrated well when we won, but yeah, it's quite strange in that respect. But on the field, we were a really close-knit team.
So you don't have to have the best dressing room to have the greatest success?
I don't think you do. I think you need sort of everyone pulling in the same direction on the field, and we all had the same goal. We wanted to achieve the same things, and I think when you've got 11 players doing that, you can achieve special things. I wouldn't say it was a horrendous dressing room. Like we weren't all falling out or bickering or anything. It was just
professional.
Yeah, it was very professional. We just got on with our work, everyone kept their heads down and just got on with it.
Yeah, and everybody just knew what each other's strengths and weaknesses were, as you say, and it led to those incredible moments in Sydney, and you get those memories that you're going to take away and hold forever. Okay, let's have a little bit of fun now. You're going to design the ultimate cricketer, combining the best elements from different players. So similar to Audi, who bring together ambitious design, advanced technology, powerful performance to create cars that thrill and impress, you are going to create a cricketer who thrills and impresses. So we're looking for intelligence, performance and precision. And we're going to build the ultimate fast bowler. So we're going to start, and this is quite helpful because obviously you've observed them all at close quarters, as described earlier. Seam control and accuracy, who would you say is the most precise?
I would say probably Glenn McGrath, someone who I've watched a lot of, played against and admired for a long time. He was someone who was incredibly skillful, relentless, like he'd just run in all day and hit the same area, had a huge amount of success against England and everyone else, but the games I remember, it was England that he was tormenting. Yeah, so for me, there's no one better than him. Obviously,
this next one can be actually measured, but just on impressions, raw pace, who's the fastest, the most intimidating?
Well, the fastest bowler I've seen live is Mark Wood. He can bowl at not like 97, 98 miles an hour. I think his fastest balls have been. But for opposition player, I'd say Mitchell Johnson from Australia. There was a series in 2013 where he bowled as fast as I've ever faced. So those two are the fastest, but I'd go for Mark Wood for this.
Okay. Swing and movement.
Difficult not to say me for that.
See, you are very welcome to include yourself. Yes, you should.
No, I think someone I watched a lot of growing up was Wazim Makram. Played for Pakistan, played for Lancashire. And it wasn't just swing with a new ball. He bowled reverse swing when a lot of people didn't know about reverse swing. So again, I learnt a lot from watching him. So I'll put him in there.
What did you take from him?
So there was a famous, I think I was only 10, but it was a 92 World Cup final in Australia against England. And he would do things different to other people. He'd bowl round the wicket to right-handers and swing it away from them, which is unusual. So I think he just sort of, I looked at that thinking that, you know, you can try anything, and it looked really fun what he was doing. He was having a great time winning the World Cup. So I think that for me was what I took from that.
Yeah. So Wazim Makram, but behind you. Mentality and endurance. Who's got the strongest mindset?
I'd have to say Alastair Cook for that, because he was someone that he got a huge amount of runs. He was the leading run scorer until Joe Root went past him recently. But he wasn't, like compared to Joe Root, who is someone I think's got a decent amount of natural talent. I'm not saying Alastair Cook doesn't have natural talent, but he didn't have the amount of shots that Joe Root's got. Joe Root's got so many options. He's a lovely player to watch, very elegant, but also a really good white ball player as well, because he can be exciting to watch. Again, this sounds really derogatory, but he's like Alastair Cook wasn't blessed with, he had like 3 shots, and so that for me takes a huge amount of mental strength to be able to, bat for long periods of time. And if I wanted someone to bat for my life, it'd be Alastair Cook. So I think it'd have to be his mentality for me. Yeah,
you've rode that one back hugely. So we have a player there built with precision, power, purpose, something Audi themselves would be proud of. So thank you very much for that.
No problem.
And good to have yourself in there as well. It's
important.
Well, yeah, no, you have to. Looking to the future and sort of building into that a conversation about legacy, the most pronounced of them is that there is this new trophy, the Tendulkar Anderson Trophy for the England-India Test Series. Like that's the most extraordinary honour. That isn't even. I mean, you talked earlier about trying to achieve what's next on your list. I can't imagine that would even factor into your thinking. The next step for me is to have a trophy named after me.
No, it's not on the list. But yeah, I can't. I still, again, similar to the knighthood, it's not something that you ever. No, it's not a goal or anything like that. You don't expect these things to happen. It's just a real honour when they come around. And for me, like, it's not necessarily just how huge it is to have a trophy named after you, but alongside Sachin Tendulkar as well, who for me is one of the greatest ever cricketers to have lived. I watched him as a kid, played against him. He's just such an iconic cricketer who's carried the weight of a nation on his shoulders throughout his career and past it as well. So to share something like this with him is an incredible honour. And yeah, just really proud that I've stuck around in the game long enough for people to offer me things like this.
Does it sit comfortably with you, that kind of recognition and that position alongside Tendulkar?
No, I feel completely out of place when I see myself like alongside him with this trophy. It's not, as I said, I hold him in such high regard. I don't feel like, I don't know, it's strange. When people talk about what I've achieved in cricket, like when I hear about it, it's as if someone's talking about someone else, if that makes sense. Like I don't feel like it's me who's achieved all this. It's this guy who's played. I know that sounds really strange, but that's how my head works. So I just can't quite believe the things that come with playing for such a long time.
Do you feel like a player who has great natural talent that you've made the most of, or do you feel more along the way that you described Alastair Cook, which is that kind of driven, because you sort of, you didn't come to cricket quite late, but you developed as a really good cricketer quite late on, didn't you?
Yeah, I was really average. I was like 15, I think, and then I grew about a foot in 6 months and started bowling quick all of a sudden, and then. So I think there was something there, like there was a natural thing there that I could bowl fast, and this is what I was blessed with. And then from there, I've kind of just worked at shaping it and finding the best way of using that, utilising it to my advantage and the team's advantage.
And you talked about how well that you're feeling, how well you're playing at the moment. What's it like to be back at Lancashire?
Yeah, it's been great. Over my career with England, I've not really been back at Lancashire for a good stint of time. It's been the odd game here and there. So to actually have a whole season, do the pre-season training and be around the guys has been great. We've got a lot of young, really exciting young players. It's been a bit of a difficult season, but we're hopeful that we can turn things around. But it's been great. Like Lancashire, they're the reason that I developed the way I did. The coaches that helped me out in my early career definitely put me on the right path, and it's nice to actually go back and spend some time there, because I do owe them a huge amount. And
when you're back and you're sort of out there, and as you said, you feel like you're as well as in yourself as you have been. Do you think about how long that's going to last for, or do you just do you put a time limit on it?
No, I've never done that. I've got a 1-year contract, so at the end of the summer I'll sit down and decide whether I want to carry on. If I do want to carry on, I'll speak to Lancashire, see if they want me to carry on. So it's kind of just suck it and see, really. I just want to really throw myself into this season and try and enjoy cricket as much as I can while I still can. If it's this season, that when I finish, then I'll be fine with that. And if I can get another year out, maybe 2, who knows? Because I feel like I could potentially go for another 2 or 3 years, like the way my body feels, which is strange. But then obviously there's other things to consider as you get older, and I think the big thing for me is still enjoying the training, the recovery, and everything else. Like, as you said, not many athletes really like that side of it. So as long as I keep enjoying that, then I'll keep playing.
Yeah. What about the end of your Test career? How did you deal with that? How did you process it?
Well, I kind of, in my head, I'd always thought I'm just going to play until I can't physically do it anymore. And in terms of the England stuff, they obviously wanted to go in a different direction. Didn't think that I'd make the Ashes. I think it was 18 months away when they told me. So they didn't think I'd make that. So I kind of just, I don't know, I just took it on the chin. I thought, fair enough, I can't do anything about it. And maybe I'm one of those people who needs to be told when to retire, because I would have just carried on until I was 50 if I could. So yeah, I've kind of, I thought I dealt with it pretty well. I've not really thought about it too much since. I'm happy that I've made the decision to carry on playing with Lancashire, because I feel like there was more in the tank in terms of bowling and playing. I didn't want to, I've always thought if you've been given an opportunity to play the sport that you love, then try and eke every last drop out of it.
Does it help, the fact that you've been able to have such a long Test career and such a successful Test career? Do you think that helps a little bit? Or does it make it harder to let go?
Yeah, it probably made it harder to let go. I had no intention of retiring. I was happy with where I was at. I was still bowling pretty well. Just been on a tour to India, and I did okay, I think. My fitness was holding up. My speeds with the ball were where they had been for 15 years, so I didn't think that was an issue. But yeah, as I said, if in that situation, when having known the 3 guys who told me, Ben Stokes, Brendan McCullum and Rob Key, for a long period of time, and knowing them well, I knew that it wasn't a decision where I could say, no, actually, I want to carry on. They'd made the decision, and I just had to try and deal with it.
Yeah. It might be a little while before you can maybe properly process it. It might be that way around.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. I mean, there's been times over the last year or so where I've been a bit frustrated, thinking, I could do a really good job for the team in this situation, or whatever it might be, and I still feel like I could have played in the Ashes if I was around with that England group. But as I said, I've sort of tried to, I guess I've tried to block it out maybe a bit as well with playing for Lancashire and stuff like that. I think the fact that I'm still playing cricket, I'm still doing the thing that I love for a team, for a county that I love, is really helping with that.
Can you watch?
I've watched a little bit, yeah. I think with me still being involved last summer as a sort of a mentor or coach, whatever you want to call it, I know a lot of the guys. I'm good mates with a lot of the bowlers. So you want to keep an eye on your mates, and you know, still, if there's something I see that I could help with, I'll still text them or call them and try and offer my advice if I can. Because, yeah, as I said, they've got a lot of mates in that team.
If you could go all the way back to making your debut for Lancashire, what would you, as you now, say to that young cricketer starting out? What advice would you give him? I suppose you have to think about something you would have maybe done differently. And if you don't feel that you would have done anything differently, then...
I don't think I would, because I think the way I approached that first few years really helped me deal with the sort of pressures that come with playing professional sport and international sport. Yeah, my approach was try and enjoy every minute. And when I got drafted into the England team because there was loads of injuries, I thought, right, I'll be here for 3 or 4 games, and then whoever's got injured will come back in, and I'll be back to Lancashire. But as it worked out, that was the start of my international career. And I think the fact that I approached it that way really helped me deal with. I didn't put too much pressure on myself. I just tried to have fun and enjoy the experience of playing for England.
So maybe that's the advice you'd pass on to someone else, would be just not to look too far ahead. Definitely.
I think, you know, it's different, because my journey into cricket is different to a lot of people. There's a lot of kids out there that I know that will get tipped to play for England from 14 years old. You know, I think it was Ian Bell who I remember watching on TV playing for England under 19s or something. This is the next England captain. And that's a lot of pressure to deal with at that age. So I think trying to not put too much pressure on yourself and try and blank out the noise that might be out there, and remember that this is, you know, you start playing cricket because you enjoy playing cricket and you love the sport. So try and keep that sort of love for the sport throughout your career.
Well, where do you think that the sport is right now? What do you think the future holds?
That's a good question, because there's a lot of, you know, a lot of talk around Test cricket and what's going to happen to that in the next few years. Talk of 4-day Test matches coming in. That is the format that I love the most. It's what I've played the most of and really love playing. I'd love to see that stick around. I think I'd want the big series, you know, at the Ashes, England versus India. That's got to be 5 days. You know, I think that the marquee series can, you know, need to stay like that. But I'd love to see more Test series against, you know, the likes of South Africa. We've just seen South Africa win the World Test Championship. I can't remember the last time England played a 4 or 5 match Test series against them. So I'd love to see that. And also I'd love to see the smaller nations, or the nations that have just come into or starting to get into international cricket to play more Test cricket, the likes of Ireland, Scotland, you know, the UAE, people like that, the USA. I'd love to see them get the opportunity to play it. Obviously there's funding issues around that, but I think that's the way you grow the sport. The more people that can be exposed to Test cricket, the more chance you've got of people liking it and then wanting to play it themselves.
What is it you look out for in a Test match? What's the one thing that grabs your attention? What do you love to see?
I love to see a battle between a batter and a bowler. So I think one of the more famous ones, and one of the ones that sticks out in my mind growing up, was Michael Atherton against Alan Donald. So Alan Donald used to wear this like white sun cream, looked really sort of angry all the time. Mike Atherton was sort of a unassuming kind of character who just sort of had a cheeky grin every now and then. So it was this battle between those two, and he was bowling, you know, 90 miles an hour plus and just trying to hit him in the head. And I thought it was fascinating. I got really drawn into that. So that's what I want to see now. Like, I love to see a bowler trying to figure out a batter and work him over. I think that's what I love watching.
Yeah, and that's what you love doing as well.
That is what, I've tried to do that throughout my career, and see, you know, I think it's quite a unique skill, because there's so much now in, you know, with T20 cricket, it's kind of like just hope that one gets hit in the air to a fielder, and there's not really too much working someone out. And there's so much information now as well. You watch so much cricket I've got analysts in the game that give you all this like information, but actually like the skill that I learned playing club cricket even was watching a batter and seeing how they moved and where they're trying to hit you and counteract that. So I think that's a skill that's kind of dying. That's why I like seeing it.
The art of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you hope, obviously the stats, the numbers speak for themselves in your career. What would you like people to take away from your career? How would you like them to feel about it? How would you like them to think about it?
I don't know really.
Do you care?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if I do. Like, I'd love to think that, like, when I look back at my childhood and what got me into cricket was watching bowlers do something with the ball that I was interested in and thinking, how do they make the ball move like that? Or why is he doing that? Why, you know, or you know, knocking the stumps out of the ground and stuff like that. That's what got me into it. So if I'd love to think that there are kids out there that have got into cricket, they're probably adults now because my career started that long ago, but I hope there's people out there who got into cricket because they watched me bowl. That'd be an amazing thing to have.
Yeah, that'd be lovely, and I'm sure they exist in their droves. Jamie, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us on The Pursuit, brought to you by Audi, the official innovation partner of Sky Sports. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on your favourite podcast platform so you don't miss an episode. We'll see you next time on The Pursuit.